Hey Raiders Nation, let's dive deep into one of the most talked about players in Las Vegas right now. Defensive end Tyrie Wilson. His journey with the team has been anything but straightforward, and as we look toward the upcoming season, things are shaping up to be absolutely crucial for him. There's no doubt that when the Raiders picked Wilson with the 7th overall pick a couple of drafts ago, it was a bit of a gamble. The guy showed incredible raw talent, outstanding athleticism, and flashes of potential, but he was still very much a work in progress. This isn't unusual in the NFL. Many teams draft based on upside, knowing the player will need time to develop the technical skills and fundamentals alongside their physical gifts. Sometimes that development clicks quickly, sometimes it takes longer, and sometimes it just doesn't happen the way people hoped. With Wilson, the jury is still out, but if we take a closer look, we see clear signs of progress. In his rookie year, Tyrie ran into some bad luck. A foot injury cut into his playing time, significantly robbing him of the chance to get into a rhythm and fully showcase what he could bring to the table. That year felt like a blur both for him and for Raiders fans watching anxiously from the stands and their screens. The injury sidelined him during a critical adjustment period, and the opportunity to develop was limited. Fast forward to his second year, and there were definitely improvements. The game started to slow down for him, which is a big deal for any young defensive end. When the action comes at you faster than you can react, it's nearly impossible to perform at your best. But in 2024, Wilson began to feel things differently on the field. His reaction time improved, his twitch was sharper, and he was starting to find his footing in the defensive scheme. Still, despite those encouraging signs, it wasn't quite enough to call him a star or the go-to guy on the Raiders' defensive front. Now heading into his third season, everything is about to change. This is the moment where Tyrie Wilson knows that the stakes are higher than ever. The 2025 season isn't just another year for him, it's a make-or-break opportunity to prove that he can be the kind of player the Raiders envisioned when they invested that high draft pick on him. Wilson himself has been very open about how important this year is. He's been candid in interviews, saying it's the biggest year of his career so far, but interestingly, he doesn't seem weighed down by pressure. Instead, he talks about feeling settled, like his feet are finally under him, and he's ready to take the next step. That kind of mindset is crucial, especially for someone who has had a rough start, but still carries that immense potential. The Raiders' defense, meanwhile, isn't a bit of a holding pattern. There's uncertainty about Malcolm Koonce, another key defensive end, who is coming off a serious ACL injury. His ability to return to form is still a question mark, and that puts even more responsibility on Wilson's shoulders. If the Raiders are going to have a disruptive, hard-hitting defensive line, Tyrie's performance in 2025 is going to be a big part of that equation. And there's another factor to consider. His rookie contract runs out after this season. The Raiders have to decide whether to invest in Wilson with a new deal or let him walk in free agency. That adds a layer of urgency for him to perform and show that he deserves to be a long-term piece of this team. Looking at how Wilson has framed his growth, you get the sense he's internalizing all the lessons and challenges from the past 2 years. He acknowledges the setbacks, but he also talks about how he's been steadily building momentum since off-season training activities started. That gradual progression through training camp and into the regular season is exactly what the Raiders need to see. It's not just about flashes of brilliance or isolated moments. It's about consistency, impact, and the ability to be a difference maker every single down. If Tyrie Wilson can deliver on that front, the Raiders' defense will be much stronger, more dynamic, and ready to challenge offenses week after week. What makes this story even more compelling is the fact that Wilson is still so young in NFL terms. Most defensive ends don't hit their prime until they've been in the league for several years. He's got time, but the clock is definitely ticking. The 2025 season will tell us a lot, not just about his individual talent, but about how the Raiders' front office and coaching staff believe in him. The pressure is there, no doubt, but Wilson's attitude suggests he's embracing the challenge rather than shying away from it. As fans, we want to see him step up and become a cornerstone of the defense. We want to see the growth translate into sacks, tackles for loss, and game-changing plays. More than that, we want to see a player who is confident, focused, and ready to lead on the field. The Raiders' future on defense could hinge on this season, and Tyrie Wilson is right at the center of that story. This is the moment where potential meets opportunity, and if he seizes it, the Raiders could have a defensive end who not only disrupts offenses, but also inspires his teammates and energizes the entire fan base. Now, when we talk about Tyrie Wilson and his path forward, it's important to consider the broader context of the Raiders' defensive line and what this means for the entire team. The defensive end position is absolutely vital in today's NFL. It's no longer enough to just rush the passer or stop the run sporadically. The modern defensive end has to be a versatile, relentless force, someone who can apply pressure on quarterbacks, set the edge against the run, and force offenses into mistakes. That kind of impact player can change the course of games and seasons. And the Raiders have been searching for that kind of player for a while now. They invested a high draft pick in Wilson because they believed he could fill that role. The hope was that despite his rawness, he would develop into a dominant presence along the defensive front, but development takes time, especially when injuries and learning curves get in the way. Tyrie's journey hasn't been without hurdles. His rookie year foot injury wasn't just a physical setback, it was a disruption in his growth and learning process. The time he missed meant he had fewer reps, less game experience, and fewer chances to adapt to the speed and complexity of NFL offenses. Even when he came back, there's a huge difference between practicing and playing at full speed under real game pressure. Year brought improvements, yes, but it was clear he was still finding his place. The game slowed down for him somewhat, but the consistent explosive plays fans crave were still on the horizon, rather than happening every week. It's a fine line between promise and performance, and until now Wilson has mostly hovered around that space where fans see potential but not full production. Heading into the 2025 season, everything feels like it's aligning for Wilson's breakout. The Raiders coaching staff has been patient, working with him on technique, strength, and football IQ. They've seen his work ethic, his willingness to learn, and his ability to adapt. When a player is willing to grind in the film room and on the practice field, it often translates to better play on Sundays. The off-season activities, training camp, and preseason games are all stepping stones. Coaches have noted that Wilson's explosiveness is improving, his hand placement is sharper, and his ability to anticipate plays is growing. All these details may seem small, but they add up. In the NFL, the difference between an average defensive end and a dominant one often lies in those technical nuances and mental adjustments. Beyond his individual development, Tyrie Wilson's 2025 campaign carries added significance because of the uncertainty surrounding his fellow defensive end Malcolm Koonce. Koonce's ACL injury has left a gap in the Raiders' pass rush that no one can fill with complete confidence just yet. If Koonce isn't back to full strength, that means Wilson will likely face more snaps and more pressure to produce. That's a huge responsibility for a young player entering his third year, but it also presents an opportunity, the kind of chance that can define a career. When a teammate goes down, the next man up has to be ready. Wilson seems aware of this reality and is gearing up to embrace it. And then there's the contract situation, which adds a layer of motivation and urgency. The NFL is a business, and rookie contracts only last so long before teams must decide whether to keep players around or move on. Wilson's rookie deal ends after this upcoming season, meaning the Raiders have to make a choice: extend him or let him enter free agency. This year isn't just about proving his worth on the field. It's about convincing the organization he's worth investing in long term. Players often perform at their highest level when contract years approach, knowing the stakes, the pressure to perform can be a double-edged sword, but for Wilson it appears to be fueling his drive rather than holding him back. Another piece of this story is Wilson's mindset. He's talked openly about how the game has started to slow down for him and how he's feeling more comfortable in his role. That kind of confidence is crucial because football is as much a mental game as it is physical. When a player trusts his instincts and has the experience to read offensive schemes, he can anticipate plays and react faster. Wilson's progress in this area will be critical in determining how disruptive he can be this season. Coaches have praised his ability to learn from mistakes, stay focused, and keep pushing even when things don't go perfectly. That resilience is a hallmark of players who eventually break out and become stars. From a fan's perspective, the anticipation is building. The Raiders have a history of passionate supporters who crave defensive dominance. The team's success often hinges on the defensive line's ability to pressure quarterbacks and stop the run. If Wilson can take that leap in 2025, it won't just boost the defense, it could elevate the entire team's confidence and performance. Defensive momentum often feeds into offensive opportunities, creating turnovers, short fields, and momentum swings. In a league where games are often decided by a handful of big plays, having a disruptive defensive end like Wilson firing on all cylinders can be a game changer. It's also worth noting the broader NFL landscape. Defensive ends with Wilson's size, speed, and athleticism are highly coveted. If he lives up to his potential, he could emerge as one of the more feared pass rushers in the league. That kind of talent can shift not only the Raiders' defensive identity, but also how opposing offenses prepare for them. Quarterbacks might have to hurry throws or adjust their game plan, opening the door for the Raiders' secondary to capitalize. The ripple effects of a breakout defensive end go beyond sacks and tackles. They affect the entire defense's efficiency. An intimidation factor looking ahead the next few months will be critical. Training camp, preseason games, and early season matchups will offer glimpses into whether Wilson is ready to make that leap. Coaches will be watching every snap, every technique adjustment, and every hustle play. Teammates will be counting on him to step up and set the tone on the defensive line. For Wilson, this is about more than just individual stats. It's about becoming a cornerstone player, a leader who can inspire those around him. The Raiders' defensive future could hinge on his ability to rise to the occasion and consistently deliver impact plays. In summary, Tyrie Wilson's 2025 season is shaping up to be one of the most pivotal in his young career. The combination of his raw talent, the time invested in his development, the team's needs, and his contract status all point toward a year filled with opportunity and pressure. If he can put it all together, the Raiders won't just have a solid defensive end, they'll have a player capable of changing games and pushing the team toward greater success. The anticipation among fans and analysts alike is palpable. The question now is, will Tyrie Wilson take that critical step forward and become the player the Raiders hoped for when they drafted him so high? The 2025 season will provide the answer, and it's one we'll all be watching closely. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. There's a growing buzz around the NFL that a significant shift could be on the horizon, potentially reshaping the quarterback landscape in the AFC West. Whispers from league insiders suggest that KYLER Murray, currently under contract with the Arizona Cardinals, might be on the verge of a blockbuster move, reportedly agreeing to a 4-year deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. This rumored signing would send shockwaves through the league, dramatically altering the Raiders' offensive identity and creating an intriguing dynamic in a division already packed with talent. While details remain speculative, the sheer possibility of Murray, known for his electrifying dual threat capabilities donning the silver and black, has ignited a firestorm of discussion among fans and analysts alike. Such a high-profile acquisition would undoubtedly signal the Raiders' aggressive intent to compete at the highest level. Murray's youth and dynamic playmaking ability could provide the long-term answer at quarterback that the franchise has been seeking, injecting a new level of excitement and unpredictability into their offensive schemes. It's a tantalizing prospect for a team looking to solidify its position as a playoff contender. However, the path to such a deal would undoubtedly be complex, involving significant cap implications and potential trade negotiations with the Cardinals. Nevertheless, the persistent rumors indicate that all parties involved might be exploring the viability of this monumental transaction. If these whispers materialize into a concrete agreement, it would undoubtedly be one of the most talked about storylines of the offseason, setting the stage for a dramatic new chapter in both Murray's career and the Raiders' pursuit of Super Bowl glory. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.